Hello and welcome back to the AOR F1 Championship. It's round 5 of this 13th season and we're on the streets of Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix. My name is Justin and joining me for the shortest distance race of the season, it's AliK.
Indeed I am, and what a race we've got ahead of us today. The greatest track on the Formula 1 calendar, the legendary streets of Monte Carlo. And last time out it was the Flying Finn who nabbed the win, and I'm sure he'll be looking to pick up the victory that he didn't manage to get here last season, as Seiyariu picked up an incredible victory with a very interesting strategy. So yeah, I'm sure we've got a lot to look forward to today.
Yeah, as you mentioned last time out, the Flying Finn extending his championship lead after picking up the win in Spain. He's currently on 86 points to Martin's 70, and with the other Mercedes of Cupid just another 12 points adrift at 58 points. Jason97 F1 maintains his 4th place position in the standings despite not scoring any points at Catalunya, while his teammate TRL Limitless slipped to 6th behind StreeZ after a DNF and all-around dismal weekend for the Renault team. That's how the championship has shaped up after 4 races, but let's turn our attention toward the jewel in the F1 crown, or whatever they say about this place, starting with the side-by-side comparison and full qualifying report.
Here we are at Monaco for round 5 of the season. And we're in qualifying now and looking at the 2 laps of the Mercedes drivers of the Flying Finn and TSR Cupid. Coming up towards turn 1 here, there's a difference of gear used between both drivers, with Finn holding it in 3rd gear and Cupid shifting down to 2nd for a bit more engine braking and turning, but now up the hill towards Massenet. Both drivers swinging it in to this left-hander and flicking it across to the right for Casino Square, and now finishing up the 1st sector and coming down into Mirabeau. We're going to look and we see Finn is slightly ahead of Cupid actually on that apex there. And now coming through the slowest corner in F1 at that lowest hairpin there. Cupid with a bit of a skirm on the exit, and he's going to be looking to get a nice run through Porte and through the tunnel. Finn has a car ahead. He might be able to gain a bit of slipstream there, although it's not massively helpful around Monaco. But coming up to the braking zone for the new chicane here, both drivers going to be braking just after the 100 metre, but flicking it into the left and then the right. Cupid taking a lot of curb there. And now one of the trickiest corners on the calendar, through to back at that left hand there. You can see Cupid is ever so slightly ahead on that apex. Careful to not throw it into the wall on the right hand side there, and now through this fast 2nd swimming pool chicane. Both drivers taking lots of curb there. Cupid getting a tiny little clip on the wall there, and now through Raskas. Cars getting out of the way of Finn there, who's taking a lot of speed through that final corner there. Both drivers opening up the DRS and coming towards the line. Who's going to get the pole position? And it's Finn by 0.03 of a second here. Another 1-2 for Mercedes.
So taking a look at the grid for what is traditionally the most important qualifying session of the season, and for the 3rd race in succession it was a Mercedes 1-2, this time with the Flying Finn leading home his teammate TSR Cupid by 0.03 of a second. Unbelievably close between the 2 Mercedes drivers. Next up in P3 with an impressive qualifying in the Manakar is RS Falcon, 4/10 off the pole, and then STS F1 Alonso in that McLaren Honda completes the 2nd row of the grid, 7/10 off the time set by the Flying Finn. It's an all-Williams affair on the 3rd row of the grid, with VBR StreeZ ahead of AOR Raikkonen. Then P7 we have the highest pad runner in TRL Limitless in the Renault, and then Lucky Dog 2000 now will line up alongside him. Jason97 F1 and TRL Martin will round up the top 10. Both of those guys will be slightly disappointed with that qualifying. They've got a lot of work to do if they want to make up positions and get near the front come the end of the race. Surprised me as the first person with free tyre choice for the race, and then following him is Franglish in the Manor, just ahead of CR63 in the Sauber, followed by the Force India of WCR Kubica. 15th sees a disappointed AOR Reversal line up ahead of TRL Williams in the Ferrari. Then we have Stu and Bernard F1, the last people to set a time in qualifying, with Sierra Hamilton with no time set in qualifying. But now it is time for the Monaco Grand Prix.
Welcome to the cloudy skies and narrow streets of Monte Carlo for the 5th round of Season 13 of AOR. We've got 19 drivers on the grid, and the Flying Finn leading an all-Mercedes front row. But the real shocker in qualifying, you have to say, Ali, is that 10th place from Martin, which puts him in one of the worst spots on the grid.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to move forward in this race. He's got to be on the move very, very quickly. Full concentration will be required by every single one of these drivers for the next 39 laps. The walls are so close around this track. A moment's lapse in concentration and that is you out of the race. Strategy wise, it's either ultra soft or ultra soft super soft. So it's definitely a one-stop, but if you remember back to last season, Seiyariu pulled an almighty undercut on the rest of the field to win the race by pitting for a set of softs very early on. So I imagine we're going to have a couple of drivers looking at that race and trying to emulate that strategy today.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers were in that race, so I'm sure they remember it very well. And of course, a lot of the drivers that weren't in the race would have at least seen it, I would have imagined. I mean, with that kind of quality coverage that you get from Fisi Fan, everybody's got to watch it. So, yeah, I imagine everybody is pretty familiar with that. So they probably at least did testing to find out what was the best possible strategy, or at least when the best laps were to come into the pits for those super soft and soft tires. But of course, with that single stop in the race, it does mean it is going to be ever important, and it's going to be so important to keep a hold of your front wing as well. On board with Martin in that 10th place position, now on board with Falcon. Great qualifying for him as the lights go out in the Manor car, and it looks like a decent start for both of the Mercedes boys, and a slight tap there from the Flying Finn and Cupid, and a little bump there from the two Williams cars as well. Lucky Dog already getting a warning, and JC97 F1 already losing a position to TRL Martin. He must have gone around the outside at Sandavote at turn 1. Jason tries to fight back around the outside at Massenet, but that wasn't really quite working. Oh, CR63 becomes intimately familiar with the barriers at the inside of Casino. Surprised me going around the outside of Franglish. Some very close battling going on in the background here. Oh, and that's heavy wing damage for Jason, and also for AOR Reversal as well, heading into the very tight hairpins of side-by-side racing going on here between the two Ferraris. Williams just narrowly edging out Burnout F1 as we come out of the tunnel on board with the Manor, who is barely keeping up with the two Mercedes cars. It does look like he gains on them ever so slightly under braking for the Nouvelle Chicane. Meanwhile, Burnout F1 going to have to go around the outside with his teammate on lap 1 for P16. That is a very dangerous move to make on your teammate at the very beginning of the race. Wouldn't you agree, Ali?
Yeah, it's a very optimistic move from the second Ferrari driver, but now back on board with AOR Raikkonen running around in P6, just behind his teammate VBR StreeZ, and then this is Lucky Dog 2000 now, he's just behind Limitless in P8. This is Reversal and Burnout, and I think that was a Salva as well in front coming into the pits. All of these guys, I think, were caught up in the domino effect into the Lowe's hairpin, the slower speed corner on the calendar, and it appears that a couple of drivers on lap 1, heavy fuel, a lot of cars around obviously, and these guys have been caught out a little bit. We saw an incident into Casino, I think it was, with one of the drivers getting very close to the barrier there, which is very lucky to actually still have 4 wheels on your car at that stage. With Jason97 F1 running around in P10, he's already lost a position to Martin, who is making moves early on in this race. And Reversal has lost it out of the pits. He is now without a front wing moments after fitting a new one. That is going to be unbelievably frustrating for the Red Bull driver. Not a good qualifying at all for Red Bull. And this is Martin, the man who is contending for the championship. He needs to get up through these positions very quickly. He needs more points than just 2 for P9 if he wants to contend with those two Mercedes cars. So Martin now following Lucky Dog through to back, leaving the inside wall quite a lot of space early on in this race, and then short shifting up through the swimming pool. But yeah, a solid start from Martin. He's still got a lot of work to do though.
Yeah, a lot of fuel saving to do as well for Martin, as he's starting very, very light on fuel at the moment. RS Falcon still keeping up with TSR Cupid. Cupid as well, keeping just within distance of his teammate, the Flying Finn. As actually Falcon sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:14.2. On board with last season's champion, the Flying Finn, heading into the very high-speed left-hander and then right-hander of Massenet and then Casino, and then heading down the hill. But again, he really cannot relax. I mean, you could never relax at Monaco. You're just always focused all the time. There's really no time that you can just have a moment to think and just collect yourself. And unfortunately for the Flying Finn, his teammate is just making things even worse for him. Kubica, meanwhile, oh yeah, I could tell under braking for that corner that he had overcooked it into Sandavote. He does make contact with the barrier, possibly some minor damage for him. The Flying Finn into the Nouvelle Chicane, and locking up ever so slightly, goes a little bit deep. Not the best through that chicane. That's going to put Cupid all over the back of him, into the back, not really an overtaking location, and through the swimming pool section we go, and it is very close for the top 3. A bit of a gap starting to form between the podium positions and 4th position at the moment. Not sure who's in 4th currently, but the top 3 have broken away ever so slightly. I don't think 4th is going to be picking up any sort of DRS here. Certainly Cupid is going to be picking up DRS, and as is Falcon as well, on board with the Manor into turn 1 once again. And it's all been very clean, Ali, from the top 3.
Yeah, it has been. We've only really seen incidents towards the back of the field, but TSR Cupid is putting his teammate under all kinds of pressure. The two Mercedes cars are running very, very close to each other early on in this race. You can just see as we come into Mirabeau, I believe this is, the Flying Finn is being pushed through this sector by TSR Kubica. This is back on board with Raikkonen, who has lost a little bit of his front wing and a little bit of time to VBR StreeZ behind as well, as he gets the turn in for the Lowe's hairpin. A little bit wrong. He's under pressure from TRL Limitless just behind. And is that TRL Martin I can see in the mirrors? I think it might be, as this is CR63 doing almost exactly what Kubica did and getting very close to the wall on the exit of Saint-Devote. And now AOR Reversal coming up into Massenet down the inside. And that's a fairly simple move in the end. There was a big difference in momentum between the two cars. And Reversal is up into P15. But a lot of work ahead of Reversal as well. If he wants to get a good result. And this is Falcon coming through the swimming pool. He's lost a little bit of time to the top two, but it is still very much a three-car train. Oh my goodness, Falcon going into neutral and into the wall on the exit of Rasgas. That's not the kind of line you want to be taking through there. And that is really going to hamper his speed as Raikkonen. Oh dear, that's getting very close to the wall. He's lost it at the back end massively on the exit of Anthony Noakes, and now Limitless trying to go around the outside at Saint-Devote. Limitless, no, Raikkonen even. Very late on the brakes, and Limitless has got a cutback line as they go up the hill into Massenet, up Beau Rivage. Limitless trying to go round the outside and Massenet into Casino. Surely he can't make this one stick. Raikkonen applying the squeeze, but Limitless on the inside. Can he pull this one off? What a move. Raikkonen is still on the outside, but Limitless has got the move done, has he? There's a bit of bumping between the two cars, but wow, what a move from TRL Limitless.
Unbelievable stuff from the Renault driver. I've been saying, I said it last race, I'm pretty sure, that Limitless has given us some of the best driving we have seen all season long, and that was an incredible series of events going side by side nearly into turn 1, up the hill, into Massenet, through Casino, down towards Mirabeau. Incredible stuff. Meanwhile, his teammate still down in 10th position. TRL Martin is the car still ahead, and it looks like he's got caught up in actually this traffic here. Lucky Dog 2000 now, AOR Raikkonen, and TRL Limitless. Oh, and that's a 3-second time penalty for AOR Raikkonen. I think he may have gotten another warning there at the exit of the swimming pool section as well. Lucky Dog 2000 now smelling blood in the water. Raikkonen is clearly struggling, and I think Lucky Dog can tell as he gets picks up the DRS off of the Williams up ahead. It has been it's been a good qualifying for Williams, and they're going pretty well in the race so far. The drivers doing their best to navigate around the stricken carbon fiber at the exit of Saint-Devote, and RS Falcon now appearing to struggle a little bit more, possibly because of that front wing damage after going down into neutral. Good spot on that, by the way, Ali. I did not notice him go down into neutral, but yeah, suffering a little bit of front wing damage, which means he's particularly going to be suffering in the higher speed corners, losing that little bit of downforce. And SDS F1 Alonso behind on the super soft tires as well. You have to say he is looking in a pretty good position, especially if he's going to go onto the ultra softs later, but that does mean he's going to have to make overtakes on circuit. Limitless up into 6th, pulling away from Raikkonen a little bit, and Raikkonen similarly moving away from Lucky Dog. Oh, and I apologize, SDS F1 Alonso is on the ultra softs. That is a visual glitch. Yeah, he's on the ultra softs just like everybody is in the top 10. So yeah, Falcon dropping back a little bit, but if the mini-map is any sort of indicator, we definitely still have a race on. Yeah, up ahead you can actually just about see the two Mercedes cars almost going side by side coming out of that final corner. It must have been so close between them. And I just got to wonder if Cupid is maybe going to try and pull the trigger on that type of undercut that we saw from Seiyariu last year, Ali. So, oh, and Raikkonen once again making some more contact with the barrier. Lucky Dog's going to get a fantastic run out of the first corner. Again, momentum just playing a huge role in the climb up the hill into Massenet, and a fairly straightforward move from the Toro Rosso on board with Martin now. Oh, and he definitely sees what's going on up ahead of him. A fantastic shot, and he may even try to get an opportunistic move here on AOR Raikkonen. No, can't quite make that work in the twistiest part of the twistiest circuit. And Jason97 F1 doesn't need to worry too much about Franglish behind, but is just about keeping up with this train ahead. And again, I have to mention the complete lack of fuel going on in TRL Martin's car, -6 laps. I mean, that does seem to be the trend, but I guess Martin has just taken it to a whole new extreme.
Yeah, he's going to be very quick with that little amount of fuel in his car. And Raikkonen is in the wall again. Oh my goodness, Martin is making a move into the swimming pool section. Raikkonen is all over the shop at this stage of the race. He's in the wall almost at every corner, making mistakes left, right and centre. He just needs to calm his head down a little bit. He seems to be on a little bit of a high, making a couple of mistakes at a few too many corners. Just needs to cool down a little bit, and now he's lost a position to Franglish as well. It's not looking good for Raikkonen, and this is Falcon, who is struggling a little bit in that stricken manner after that mistake at Raskas, and that is STS F1 Alonso all over the back of his Manor car. And Raikkonen has actually come into the pits on lap 7 for a set of soft tyres. He has bailed from those ultra soft very early on, and Falken forming a little bit of a train here. That's Alonso behind him, and I think that might be StreeZ as the car behind him as well. So Falken has really dropped off the pace here. That front wing damage really hampering him at this stage.
Yeah, he could see the Mercedes previously, but now in those onboard shots, you definitely cannot see Cupid even as they were going into the tunnel. But Martin trying once again. He is up into 8th position now, so he's made 2 overtakes. He's going to try and make it overtake number 3 up the inside of the Nouvelle chicane on Lucky Dog 2000 now, still side by side. He's going to have to give him room at the exit of the corner. A 3-second time penalty, unfortunately, applied to Lucky Dog 2000 now as a result of that defensive maneuver into the Nouvelle chicane. But TRL Martin doesn't care about that. He's going to continue on in 7th place position. Let's have a quick look at the replay of the start of the race. Go ahead and talk us through this, Ali.
Yeah, it looks like a decent start from both the Mercedes cars. A bit of lag involved with Cupid getting very close to the back of the Flying Finn's car, but they all make it. I think the whole field pretty much makes it cleanly through Saint-Devote, which is extremely rare around this track. And this is on board with AOR Raikkonen. He started all the way up in 6th place. Oh my, that is a lot of oversteer off the line, but he covers the inside immediately, hits the back of his teammate. No front wing damage there, and then he tags Limitless on the exit. Oh, was that StreeZ? There was a bit of a collision going on with a couple of cars there. And then this is Martin. This is how he gets past Jason97 F1 into Saint-Devote, having to go very cautiously. Just cars everywhere in front of him, and he manages to negotiate his way around the outside of that Renault just about, and then he's being very, very close to the back of Lucky Dog and Limitless just in front. And then this is Jason now, who is running around in P9, which is a decent position for someone who is on the pad. There is a massive deficit between the pad and the wheel around this track. I mean, it's almost a second at some points, but Jason now on the back of, I believe that's Lucky Dog, so he's got to try and make a move into the Nouvelle chicane round the outside. This would be one hell of a move if the Renault driver can pull this one off. And unfortunately, unlike his teammate, he hasn't been able to pull off an unbelievable overtake like we saw from Limitless at the top of Beaurivage into Massenet. But through to back, and it appears that Lucky Dog for now is safe. The back to this battle for the lead. The Flying Finn is now, is that 6/10 ahead of TSR Cupid? I believe it is. They are still very, very close to each other. It's almost nose to tail. We've got yellow flags through the first second. What is this for? That is AOR Raikkonen, who is in the wall. His day goes from bad to worse, and he is now out of the Monaco Grand Prix. That is not how AOR Raikkonen wanted his day to end.
Yeah, qualifying in the top 10, fantastic job in qualifying, but unfortunately it just hasn't worked out for him in the race, retiring on what was lap 9 for him. Keep in mind, as we're now starting lap 10, of course, with the leaders. And here's a replay of CR63 on lap 4 as he's heading to pass his teammate, Surprise Me, and goes around the outside at the penultimate corner. Nice, easy move there. Here's TRL Limitless putting the squeeze on our recently retired Williams of AOR Raikkonen, and this was that battle up the hill. Fantastic stuff from Limitless here. Again, some of the best racing we've seen all year. The fact that he could do that around the outside, get it hooked up into the inside, leave him the space at the exit of the corner as well, grab that inside line heading down into Mirabeau and grabbing that position. Just fantastic stuff from the AOR veteran. The Flying Finn is struggling with his teammate. A little bit of carbon fiber sitting on the track at the exit of that Nouvelle chicane. Into back they go to finish up lap number 11. The rear tires are starting to get punished. 48% on the rears on these Ultra Softs for the Flying Finn at the moment. I'm not sure if he, yep, it does look like he is going to come into the pits at the end of lap 11, so he's going to have a 28 lap stint to do on whatever tires he is going for in this one. You can see RS Falcon's rear tires aren't looking any better, so actually the Flying Finn, who is leading this race, is the one that has undercut everybody, despite, again, leading the race, so he doesn't technically have anybody to undercut, but he has come in before all of his major competitors in this race. TRL Martin is also in for a set of the soft compound tires, but I'm not sure how much that's going to help him, at least in his quest to get by the Flying Finn. It's all about damage limitation for the Red Bull driver, I believe, at this stage. And let's see where he's going to come out. I'm actually not sure because, of course, he doesn't have the HUD. But here's a replay of... Oh, no! And that's really not good. Is this reversal? It is. Yes. Reversal on lap 12, just getting it all wrong into Mirabeau and into the Grand Hotel hairpin. And RS Falcon comes in a lap later on those Ultra Softs. We'll see what he's going to go for. Of course, he has to go all the way down to get to his pit box for Manor. And Jason97 F1 has STS F1 Alonso all over the back of him, who I assume is now accurately on the softs. Yep, he came in at the end of lap 11. Falcon getting held for StreeZ, I believe that was, in the pits there. May have been a long stop for him. Jason97 F1 still needs to stop and is going to come out just ahead of StreeZ. RS Falcon with a terrible exit coming out of the pits. That's going to put a big gap between himself and the Williams up ahead. TRL Limitless is going to come out of the pits just ahead of TRL Martin, I believe this is. The Red Bull boys really not helping us out by hiding the UI on both of their cars, but Limitless is going to just about narrowly stay ahead of the Red Bull. Comes out in P9 and still with cars to pit, but man, that is a lot of stops we're seeing here on lap 11 and 12, Ali.
Yeah, this is kind of when we expected most of the stops to be, and for the Mercedes boys, it is just like we saw in real life between the Ferraris. It is the undercut versus the overcut. TSR Cupid trying to go long on those ultra soft tyres, pushed him to the limit, and he's into the pits now. So the Flying Finn coming into this final sector is Cupid versus the Flying Finn out of the pits. Cupid goes for a set of soft tyres, but where is the Flying Finn going to be? He's coming through Rasgas now into the final corner. Where is TSR Cupid on that mini-map? The Flying Finn coming up to the start-finish line now. Cupid is still in the pits, and the Flying Finn is going to maintain the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix, and that is absolutely crucial for the Flying Finn. Cupid is going to have 2-lap fresher tyres, but that is not really going to make too much of a difference, considering we see about 3% a lap on those soft tyres, so it's really not going to make that much difference. And even if it did, overtaking is another thing compared to having better tyres than the car in front. But Jason now coming for a set of super softs, so he's opted for the super softs rather than the softs, but also changing his front wing. And this is Kubica, who we saw pit on lap 1, I believe, and he's now going to be coming out of the pits just ahead of Jason on much older tyres. That is not what Jason wanted to see. But now Falcon, he's at the back of STS F1 Alonso and VBR StreeZ. That is not where he wanted to be at all. He's gone from P3 to P5. That is not at all what we wanted for RS Falcon. That front wing change, I think, that he had because of that damage, that mistake into Rasgas, has really cost him in this race. And this is Jason trying to get past Kubica. No way through there, but yes, it's all looking pretty tight between the two Mercedes boys. And again, that battle for P3 is really starting to hot up now.
Yeah, any sort of mistake from the Flying Finn, which of course we can't expect. No one can expect a mistake from the Flying Finn, but if he makes any sort of mistake, Cupid is right there. And here we're seeing the very many struggles of Stu on lap 1, which is really, oh no, yeah, and that's an easy mistake to make in Monaco. Certainly, I am not one to judge when it comes to driving well around the streets of Monte Carlo. RS Falcon, though, could get an opportunity here as StreeZ goes side by side with STS F1 Alonso up the hill through Beau Rivage into Massenet, and that is job done for the Williams, now up into a podium position. Incredible job. Alonso missing his apex as well there through Casino and clunking over the bumps is the McLaren and the Manor, both of them really struggling coming down that hill as they are really pushing for position at this point. And there they are, the silver arrows coming through the tunnel and down towards the Nouvelle Chicane with TSR Cupid in tow behind the Season 12 champion, the Flying Finn, of course, is still leading this race from that pole position. It's there has not been a technical change for the lead. There was, I guess, if you really want to get technical, when Finn came in, but Jason97 F1 again just stuck behind Kubica. Kubica is now on 13.5 lap old super softs, and Jason just came into the pits at the end of lap 13, so he's only on a lap and a half on this set of super softs, and he does get much better traction coming out of Portier. Gets a much better run into the tunnel. A bit of contact between the two of them. Jason taking the racing line. Kubica is actually going to hold off and let Jason go through, and he won't pick up a corner cut warning for that one. And Cupid is at this. Oh gosh! And there's a Sauber in the wall. I'm not sure who that was. If that was surprise, yeah, that was surprised me into the wall and really actually kind of getting in the way, I think, a little bit of that Mercedes battle, because they were nose to tail. Falcon and the other guys in that battle for third position just about managing to get their way around that Sauber, but that is in a very dangerous position. Fairly high speed, blind corner is Casino. You cannot see where that Sauber is at the entrance of the corner. And here we go, Cupid gonna try it around the outside of the Nouvelle Chicane. Doesn't quite get the room from his teammate. There's a bit of bumping and grinding between the two of them, possibly some front wing damage for one or the other, really not sure. TRL Martin, once again with his old nemesis, TRL Limitless, is going to try and put the attack on into the Nouvelle Chicane, but no, Limitless has him covered off. Fantastic defensive driving from the Renault driver there into the Nouvelle Chicane, and it's really all popping off now, seeing lots of at least overtake attempts. Haven't seen any overtakes just yet, but here's what it looked like for Kubica as he was getting overtaken by Franglish. Franglish just kind of gives him a little bit of a nudge at the apex there, and then they both try to go side by side into the Grand Hotel hairpin, and unsurprisingly, that does not work out well. And Kubica is going to lose a very large portion of his front wing, and then he's going to just graze that inside of Tabak, and that put him out into the wall. Very easy mistake to do, especially at the high-speed Tabak corner. And Tierra Limitless is just on an absolute charge. Oh gosh, and StreeZ and Alonso have come to blows at the Nouvelle Chicane, and that's going to allow a car through. I already missed who that was. Tierra Limitless manages to get by Burnout F1, who I believe still has not yet stopped. Tyrrell Martin now needs to try and find a way past this Ferrari, who has not stopped. That was Falcon that got through before. Burnout F1, though, having to defend from the Red Bull of Tyrrell Martin. Oh no, and he makes the same mistake that we saw earlier in the race. Just clips that inside wall coming out of the swimming pool section, gets spun into a 180, and we're just seeing all sorts of action here now, Ali.
Yeah, I think a couple of drivers just starting to lose concentration, rolling around on their own a little bit, and it's so easy just to clip one wall, and that is over for your race, or over for your front wing at least, as Burnout F1 just found out through the swimming pool section, doing what Max Verstappen did in qualifying last year, just turning in marginally too early, clipping that wall, and that just sends you into the wall on the outside, and that is a new front wing and a new set of tyres for Burnout F1. But this is RS Falcon back up into P3 now. He lost those positions in the pits. He's also lacking a bit of front wing again. This man cannot keep his front wing intact. Just like in the first stint, he has got a yellow front left end plate, and we saw him lose quite a lot of pace because of that, and you can see how big the gap is to the two Mercedes cars. Look at that. It was so close in the first stint, but now Falcon is way behind these two guys, and Cupid, he's looking very feisty. He wants this win. There are no team orders at play here. He went for the overcut. It didn't quite work, but now he's got another chance into Sander Vot, but it doesn't look like he's close enough to the Flying Finn on this lap into turn 1. Finn very late on the brakes. He's missed the apex slightly, and Cupid's got a mighty run out of Sander Vot, up the hill, up by Ravage into Massenet. Is there any way through for TSR Cupid? They're so close up into the casino section, and it looks like Cupid has had to just about back out of that one, but I could see this ending very badly for these guys.
Oh yeah, and TSR Cupid puts it up the inside on the run down towards Mirabeau, excuse me, and then tries to go to side by side, but no, can't go around the outside of the Grand Hotel hairpin. That's certainly not going to work out. Finn retains that lead of this race as we now have passed the halfway point of this Monaco Grand Prix, and as Ali mentioned, TSR Cupid is looking very feisty. Keep in mind, other than Limitless's podium in Australia, we have not seen anyone else on the podium aside from Flying Finn, Martin, and Cupid. So, I mean, Cupid needs to beat his teammate if he wants to be involved in this Drivers' Championship. He absolutely needs to beat his teammate. Oh, and this is the replay of that contact that we saw between StreeZ and Alonso that allowed Falcon to retake that third-place position that he is now currently enjoying the benefit of. Here's that onboard with Falcon as he took it, and thankfully that Williams car ghosting as he just goes right through him. Yeah, on to lap 22 now with the Mercedes boys, and TSR Cupid still all over the back of his teammate. He's looking like he wants to try and even make a move around the outside. He'll have to do it around the outside of Massenet. No, not quite working there. He couldn't pull off the Limitless move, but he is extremely close to his teammate as they come down the hill, just letting him know that he's there, just pressuring him. In fact, making contact between the front wing and the rear wheel of the Flying Finn as they make their way once again through the Grand Hotel hairpin and down the hill and towards the tunnel out of Portier. And incredible racing we're seeing from these two guys. It is so difficult to overtake at Monaco, and TSR Cupid is trying everything he can think of here. And I mean, unsurprisingly, I guess the Flying Finn, he is a AOR champion, so he is putting up a heck of a fight here, Ali.
Yeah, the Flying Finn looks absolutely unflappable at this stage. He hasn't made a single mistake really all race, and TSR Cupid cannot find a way past his Mercedes teammate. That car seems, well, the first car seems a lot wider than the second one, that's for sure. But now this is Limitless being followed by Tyrrell Martin. Looks like these guys have been glued together, just like we saw in Australia. They always find a way to fight each other, and this time it is over P6 here in Monte Carlo as we're coming through the tunnel, and Martin has gained a lot of that fuel back. He's now down to only 3 laps down on fuel, but now Martin putting to the inside for the Nova chicane, down the inside of Tyrrell Limitless. He hangs it round the outside. There is contact between the two of them, but they're both still facing in the right direction. That was extremely aggressive from Limitless, but Martin still cannot find a way through, and it looks like this is really hampering the Red Bull driver. He's got to make his way through these positions very quickly, and this is Burnout F1. We saw him shed his front wing earlier through the swimming pool section. He's now on the back of CR63 for P11 down the inside into Sandavot, and it's a fairly easy move, is it, for the Ferrari driver? The Sauber is still on the back of him, but it looks like Burnout manages to get that move done. Now back on board with the two Mercedes cars up at the front into Sandavot. Cupid following his teammate through turn 1. The Flying Fins run slightly wide, and Cupid, surely he's got to snap up this opportunity. He's gone to the inside for Massenet. This is a big opportunity for Cupid. He's finally got the inside line, but the Flying Fin hanging it all the way around the outside into Casino. What a defensive move. That is from the reigning champion. That is absolutely unbelievable. But Cupid down the inside into Mirabeau. It's a dive bomb. And they're going to be side by side. It's the Lowe's hairpin. TSR Cupid takes the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix. Down the inside into Mirabeau. And what a move that was. The two Mercedes boys. Finally, Cupid had to make a move. He'd been frustrated for so many laps. And finally, he is into the lead. And that is absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's incredible to see an overtake for the lead at the Monaco Grand Prix between teammates, no less, and championship contenders as well. That is what AOR is all about. And immediately, the pace difference between Cupid and the Flying Fin is already very obvious, as Cupid streaking away what is already an 8/10 gap between the two of them. RS Falcon not even in the picture anymore, as Ali mentioned earlier. Through the final sector they go, and yeah, definitely slight damage from that contact on the front left end plate there. RS Falcon, as I mentioned, kind of going around in third position. He's quite lonely at this point. It is a big gap down to this battle for fourth position between StreeZ and Alonso, who are still glued together. He gets a little nudge of encouragement as he comes out of the corner, and also Martin now getting involved as well. Yeah, that has to be Martin that's getting involved. No, that must be Reversal, actually. Who has... Oh, Reversal's getting lapped, I'm being told. Thank you. Yeah, so that is... Yeah, that Red Bull in the background there is a lap-down car, so you can go ahead and ignore him. I hate to say that about Reversal, but it has been a pretty terrible season for him, and I do hope things will turn around for him. And this is the replay of that incredible overtake, as Ali mentioned, down the inside of Mirabeau. Not a typical overtaking location. He put the squeeze on him, but I think that was fair. He didn't send him into the wall at high speed. He certainly made contact with the wall, but the Flying Fin struggling for a number of laps, Ali. I think we really saw this coming eventually. Cupid just seemed so much more comfortable, so much more confident in that Mercedes car.
Yeah, Cupid definitely seems to have a pace advantage, and look at the gap Cupid has pulled to the Flying Fin. That is a huge distance. That is not many laps since he's made the overtake, and he has disappeared down the road. You can see why Cupid was getting a bit impatient, and now he is in prime position to win this race. He's got a big gap to his teammate, a big gap to Falcon behind, so TSR Cupid, it's all on him. If he doesn't make a mistake before the end of this race, it looks very, very likely that he is going to win here in Monaco. But this is Jason97 F1 on those super soft tyres behind Lucky Dog, who is on some older soft tyres, so Jason's going to have a lot more grip. Can he make the most of it into turn 1? He's taking a much wider line down the Toro Rosso in front of him. Can he get better traction? No, he can't. He's sliding and almost hitting the wall on the exit, and this is back to Cupid. You can't even see the Flying Fin in the camera shot anymore. That's how much he's disappeared, and you can see him just now coming out of the Nouvelle chicane as Cupid comes into to back. He's got to be really, really concentrating at this stage. He does not want to make a tiny little error, because that could really cost him at this stage. And Jason is still behind this Toro Rosso, and it looks like he cannot quite find a way past. And Martin, who was battling earlier, has absolutely disappeared down the road. So It just shows how important track position is around here.
Yep, absolutely crucial. And Lucky Dog doing a fantastic job of playing the defensive game from the Renault behind. Franglish now down into P10. Not a pretty significant distance, I should say, actually behind that battle. So it looks like those two guys are off in their own little battle. And in the background there, even, it looks like the Flying Fin losing the back end of the car as he was coming out of Casino and coming down the hill. I do believe Casino is the highest point on the circuit, and then it's a downhill for quite a while here, as Cupid demonstrates that wonderfully coming into Portier and continuing to extend that lead. Jason97 F1, once again, it was a really bad race for Renault and in the previous race at Spain, so he would really like to grab some points, especially because he is currently 4th in the championship standings. But now on board with Cupid, and there is the mistake that he didn't want to see. That is going to be significant front wing damage. He is going to maintain track position just about ahead of the Flying Finn. He doesn't have any sort of puncture, but he does have massive front wing damage. I believe it was the front right end plate on that front wing that he has significant damage to. The Flying Finn is going to pick up DRS here. This is going to be his first real attempt at an overtake here as we finish lap number 30, and just 9 laps remaining in this race. And now TSR Cupid is going to have to drive around with this significant damage on his car, and with the Flying Finn, with the Season 12 champion all over the back of him. Now he does know, and there we can see just the extent of the front wing damage on the Flying Finn's car. So both of these Mercedes with front wing damage, and Cupid, I guess, can rest a little easier knowing that he had the pace over his teammate. So this sort of small damage, he hasn't lost the entire front wing, so this relatively small damage shouldn't be as much of an issue for him. Jason97 F1 is going to try it again around the outside at Sandoval against Lucky Dog 2000. Now just barges his way right around the outside, making good use of those super soft tires to take P8 from the Toro Rosso driver, and it looks like the TSR Cupid is definitely struggling with that front wing damage, possibly with other issues as well. We're not entirely sure. Completely misses his apex for to back, and that's going to put his teammate really, really close to the back of him, and I think it's going to be a real struggle. It was looking so good for the Chinese Grand Prix winner of TSR Cupid, but things are looking a lot different now, Ali.
Yeah, well, they both have front wing damage, so it just seems that the Flying Finn is coping with it a little bit better, and that might explain the reason for Cupid's massive pace advantage over the Flying Finn. But now coming into Sandoval, the two Mercedes cars following each other head to toe once again, and this is VBR StreeZ under pressure from STS F1 Alonso. And Alonso going for that dive bomb into the chicane earlier, goes for another dive bomb, this time into Sandoval, and they both hit the wall on the exit, and then Reversal, the laps car, slips through on the inside. I'm sure StreeZ would not want the laps car to be getting involved in this, but Reversal not paying any attention to those blue flags, going around the outside of both of them, although to be fair, he is on the ultra soft tyres compared to their soft. So now back with the two Mercedes cars, the Flying Finn still rolling around in P2. TSR Cupid in front will be a little bit shaken after that mistake. He has showed he's a little bit fragile in this race. He's open to making the odd mistake, and that could be crucial. Coming into the final few laps of this race, the Flying Finn's got a better run. Out of Casino into Mirabeau. Does he go for the dive? No, he doesn't. Cupid defends the inside. Once again, he is eager not to concede the same move that he pulled on his teammate, as once again they're incredibly close, coming through the Lowe's hairpin and then through the middle sector as well. These two are very, very close. I could just see it ending so badly between these two. They've been so aggressive with each other, and now both of them have stricken cars as well. This is a recipe for disaster, and a little bit of lag involved as well, apparently. Would anything else like to go wrong for these two Mercedes cars? And they're still running 1 and 2.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Real domination we're seeing from these two guys. I mean, it hasn't been a flawless drive really from either of the drivers, but clearly they are just on a whole nother level compared to the other drivers. As RS Falcon in 3rd position, I mean, you look at the race that he's had by comparison, and I mean, he's fortunate honestly to be in that position after that collision that gave him that 3rd place position back after he lost it to StreeZ in the pits. And the Flying Finn with that DRS did get very close into Sandoval, but at no point in time was really pressuring for any sort of overtake. And I think possibly at this point, Finn may just be intentionally pressuring and not actually making the look and make an overtake. We'll see here, though. Is he going to try and get on the brakes late into Mirabeau? He does get onto the brakes very late, but not quite enough room to squeeze that car in between Cupid and the barriers. Through the very slow hairpin and down the hill towards Portier once again, underneath the old train tracks and into the tunnel we go. Well, this is very, very close for the Flying Finn. Oh, it looks like that may have been due to a little bit of lag, though. As mentioned by Ali, there is unfortunately some lag going on here, too, which is just making the Flying Finn's job just that much harder as he makes contact with a slightly lagged out version of Cupid's car, which clearly was not in that exact position at that exact moment, but that is just making an already very difficult job even harder here, Ali.
Yeah, the Flying Finn, though, he's got to run out of the swimming pool, trying to go around the outside. Raskas, he's got the outside line. He's got the outside for the final corner as well. Cupid, there's another bit of contact, and that is more front wing damage for the Flying Finn. He will be cursing his teammate. At this point, they have really not helped each other out at all in this race. But it doesn't matter one bit because they're so far ahead of the rest of the field. But look at that in the top left. You can see RS Volk is now only 7 seconds behind. He's gained 2 seconds in one lap to these guys. Is Cupid's in the wall, or is that just lag? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Cupid's car. He appeared to be in the wall at Massenet. I think he's still fine. He is indeed. Cupid is still facing in the right direction with all the remaining bits of his front wing still intact. Both of these Mercedes cars obviously with the same amount of damage, but with 4 and a bit laps to go left in this race, it is a showdown between the two Mercedes cars. Cupid probably has to win to get his championship hopes back on track, and to do that he's got to hold off the Flying Finn, who is now, unlike earlier in the race, looking in the box seat to overtake in this race. He looks much more comfortable than his teammate. Cupid made that little mistake, and he appears to be making a few more mistakes as the Flying Finn's being offered a strategy change because Jeff does not approve of his Mercedes car running around with less than an optimal amount of front wing on his car. And Cupid has got, is that a puncture? Yeah, that's Cupid, that is a huge mistake for TSR Cupid. It's all over. He's got to come into the pits, and he's gifted the lead of the race to the Flying Finn. It was one mistake too many. He's ridden his luck just a little bit too much, and TSR Cupid, heartbreaking for him, a puncture from the lead in Monaco. That is not what he wanted at all.
Yeah, he may even drop down to 4th position. I'm just watching him on the minimap. He is indeed. He's already dropped down to 4th. Might even drop down to 5th as well in that battle between Alonso. Yeah, and there it goes. He's down to 5th position from leading the race down to 6th, 7th now, as actually TRL Martin manages to get by TSR Cupid. Incredible stuff from Martin after starting P10. And I believe this is on board with Reversal. And he has gone for a reversal into the Nouvelle Chicane, goes for a big old spin, and yeah, his day goes from bad to worse to worser. That's really unfortunate. TRL Limitless, meanwhile, though, up into 5th position. As I mentioned before, it wasn't a great day for the Renault cars in Spain last time out, but things are looking up without questions, looking significantly better. TSR Cupid's not out of this race yet, though. He does have on a fresh set of Ultra Softs, and I believe he would have gotten a new front wing as well. So I think it goes without saying that he's probably going to get fastest lap of the race here as we get these fantastic helicopter shots. These are by far my favorite camera shots in all of the F1. And through the swimming pool section we go, and unsurprisingly, he's all over the back of Limitless. But is he actually... No, he's not actually on Ultra Softs, I don't think. From his perspective, it was showing him on a set of Softs, so he may be out. Yeah, he may have been out of Ultra Softs. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Martin that we're on board with, yeah. Cupid with those Ultra Softs, though, very quick. TRL Limitless is really going to have to watch out as we start lap 37 of this 39-lap race. Just 3 laps remaining. And yeah, this appears to be the new focus of the race, AliK.
Yeah, Cupid, we saw him last season make so many audacious overtakes and then end in disqualification after he had a memorable race in Season 12. But he's on the back of Limitless and appears to be able to get fairly easily down the inside into Mirabeau. Limitless sensibly not fighting that one. Cupid by far the fastest man on track, possibly the fastest driver around this track, but his combination of fresh Ultra Soft tyres and full front wing means he is absolutely flying at this stage, but not flying quite as much as the Flying Finn, who is out in front leading this race, and that is not what TSR Cupid wanted for his drivers' championship hopes. Cupid is going to be quite a way down. Obviously he's going to be gaining points on Martin, but he's going to be losing a whole heap of points to the Flying Finn. Actually, in terms of the championship, it's looking very good for the Flying Finn because he's going to be gaining a huge amount of points on both Martin and Cupid, who had, well, obviously we've seen what's happened to Cupid so far in this race, but it's Limitless and Martin again still rolling around in P6 and 7, and this is on board with RS Falcon. And is that the Flying Finn up in front of him? Has he managed to close that much, as this is Reversal's retired car? But is that car in the distance the Flying Finn?
Sure looks like it. Yep, yeah, he is closing right up onto the back of him. I wonder if he's been keeping an eye on his progress. It's now less than 2 seconds is the gap on the penultimate lap of this race, and with just one more lap to go, it's going to be difficult, certainly, for Falcon, but at the very least, he can close right up to the man that was crowned AOR Champion not so many weeks ago, it really feels like. TSR Cupid has now found his way to the back of VBR StreeZ, and the Williams car they do an excellent job of navigating straight through the Red Bull, and here comes Cupid now with those fresh tires down towards the Nouvelle Chicane with the inside line, and it just looks so easy on the Williams, up into 4th position now for TSR Cupid. 1 lap remaining as well as he makes his way into Sector 3. Now, RS Falcon, is he closed up any further to the back of that Mercedes up ahead? We'll see as he crosses the line to start the final lap of this race. It's now just 1.6 seconds between the two of them, but he's not going to have any more real overtaking opportunities. He's going to have to get inventive in the way that TSR Cupid did, and that could mean risking his race, actually, so he may not be all that interested in that, as TSR Cupid, unsurprisingly, dipping down into the 1:13, setting fastest lap of the race. 1.3 seconds now is the gap between the Mercedes and the Manor. Not something you hear very often on that one, and this would be Falcon's first ever podium, actually, and it would be the first race since Australia that we haven't seen some combination of the Flying Finn, Martin, and Cupid on the rostrum. TRL Martin still behind TRL Limitless. He just hasn't been able to find a way by RS Falcon. Once again, really closing up to the back of that Mercedes car, making his way through the Nouvelle Chicane, looking very under control as it stands right now. Through to back for the final time for the Mercedes of the Flying Finn. It's now just 1.0 seconds between himself and RS Falcon, who again is looking to pick up his first podium. SDS F1 Alonso could pick up a podium. Oh, and that is a very opportunistic move from TRL Martin, and I'm sure he's going to give that position back to TRL Limitless. Meanwhile, the Flying Finn is going to pick up the win as he crosses the line, picks up the checkered flag, and picks up his 3rd win of the season, and 3 wins, 2 second places. SDS F1 Alonso picking up a podium as well. Very well-deserved podium for him, and I believe that was Cupid in 4th position, and it does look like Limitless did get to go back through on TRL Martin, regain that 6th place position, and I believe that means it's going to be a double points finish. Yeah, there's his teammate, Jason97 F1, is going to finish ahead of Lucky Dog 2000 now and pick up some points for the Renault team. So it's a double points finish for Renault, double points finish for Mercedes. Burnout F1, unfortunately, just outside the points, and CR63 actually is currently in 10th. I'm not sure how many points he's had so far this season, but I don't think it's been any. No, it isn't. No, he hasn't picked up any points, but we'll see. There's a lot of, as you might expect, viewers, there is a lot of potential penalties to be dished out because of corner cutting and incidents and all sorts of stuff like that, so we will have to see the final results, but you gotta love that opportunistic move from Martin there, Ali.
Yeah, it's all or nothing, and he picked up a 5-second stop go despite letting Limitless do, so I'm sure that will be removed by the stewards should it mean anything in the end. And then this is Cupid, who tried to go for an audacious move on SDS F1 Alonso into Rasgas and into the final corner. Couldn't make anything stick, so it's going to be 4th. A very frustrating afternoon for Cupid, but there we go, confirmation that it was the Flying Finn who took the win here in Monte Carlo, with RS Falcon only 4 tenths behind on the line. A very strong drive from the Manor driver, and then SDS F1 Alonso picking up a podium in that McLaren Honda. Again, a strong drive from him. And Cupid actually had a 3-second penalty, so maybe his battle with the Flying Finn didn't mean as much as we thought it did at the time. Then StreeZ down in P5, and Limitless, the highest pad run, he's got to be pleased with that in P6, ahead of TRL Martin, Jason97 F1, and then Franglish picking up the final point. But as you said, a lot of penalties affecting the results here.
Yeah, a lot of 3-second penalties. StreeZ with the 6-second penalty as well. CR63 with some penalties as well. So, yeah, it's certainly a difficult track. AOR Reversal, I think, had the most difficult day out of anybody, stopping 3 times, doing 4 stints, and actually failing to finish the race in the end. So his difficult season continues, unfortunately, for the Red Bull driver. And yeah, a lot of DNFs. Kubica surprised me, AOR Raikkonen, and TRO Williams, Stu, and then Hamilton not even making it through turn 1, as far as I know. In the Drivers' Championship, the Flying Finn pulls an almighty lead. That is 35 points. Yep, 35 points between first and second. Keep it a further 6 seconds back. 6 points back from Martin, so getting pretty close in that battle for second. Jason does hold on to his 4th place position in the standings, and similarly for StreeZ and Limitless, they had no movement there. SDS F1 Alonso, though, moving up into 7th, now set on 26 points, tied with TRL Limitless. Fantastic showing for the McLaren driver. RS Falcon, similarly, with that 2nd place finish, a solid result for him, is going to move him up into 8th with 24 points. And yeah, Stu, Danny M7, Killer Whale, yeah, both of the Haas cars missing out today. But man, Monaco is not always the most exciting track for races. But once again, Ali, AOR does not disappoint.
Yeah, the two Mercedes guys really produced today. They gave us one hell of a battle, and they now extend their championship lead in the Constructors to over 100 points to Red Bull Racing behind after Reversal had a pretty shocking race. It was just Martin left to fly the flag today. And then Renault, double points finish for them. They've got to be happy for that. They're both pad runners even. And at Monaco, they'll be very happy to pick up a couple of points. McLaren Honda with STS F1 Alonso's podium move up to P4 just ahead of Williams, who are only 2 points behind in that battle for 4th. Mana and Force India are equal on points in 6th and 7th. And wow, what a race we had today. And just think what it's going to be like in Canada. More overtaking opportunities. It couldn't be a more different track to Monaco.
Yeah, with this 15-race truncated season, I think everybody is going to be very glad to see Canada is one of the 15 that were selected for this year's race, because Canada is always a good time in F1 and in AOR as well. That is going to do it for the Monaco Grand Prix, though. Thanks, everybody, for watching. For Fisi, Chris, and Ali, and we will see you next time from the circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix and 6th round of Season 13. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.